Good morning, Syndicate members. It's Wednesday. That's right. Live
Let's
from
go.
Austin, Texas. It's Winning on Wednesday. Boom. I'm here with my buddy Joe Trucker. What's happening?
I like that one. I like it. They're getting better, Tony. They're getting better. What's going on, my man?
Oh, man, I'm doing fantastic. I got a hit last night. This dude invites me to come play softball with him yesterday. I got no shoes. I got no glove. I got no skills. Somehow I managed to get a hit.
Come
I
on.
struck
Hey,
out
and
on
that
my
was
next
that was a
time up,
crucial
but
hit. It was a crucial hit.
it was a crucial hit. We took the lead in that, and then I struck out and we gave the game away. So it was a win and a loss all in one game. Every range of emotion you could possibly think of was right there in those few moments. It was fantastic. But man, we've got a power-packed show today, do we not, my friend?
Dude, we freaking do. We really do. Y'all and everybody, hey, real quick, I put it in the comments. Let StreamYard view your Facebook comments just so we can see you guys. What's up, Donald? Tony must be a morning person. Is that because of the strikeout?
My
What's
wife
up, Mr.
might
England?
argue with that. My wife
Yeah,
might
right.
argue with that. We'll see.
I
We'll
love
see
it.
what she has to chime in here in a second. But yes, mornings are great, as John Wetmore loves to put it, right? 7 a.m. ain't early. 5 a.m. is early. 7 a.m. you get up and the birds are chirping, the sun's out, people are walking around. Let's go, baby.
Come
We
on.
have got a killer lineup, man. We're going to talk about the power of networking, the power of conferences. We all just came out of 8%. We are
Weekly win.
supercharged.
Weekly win. What is it? What you
Dude,
got?
my weekly win, honestly, for those of you that were at 8%, maybe you remember this. Coach Burt and Cody put together a $97 4-week speak and sell training workshop. And yes, Mr. Anonymous Facebook user, I struck out swinging. I mean, it's hard to hit in only 3 tries, right? That guy throws a wicked 12-foot arc. But anyway, we're all coming off 8%. We're all fully charged. I signed up for that coaching workshop, and we did the first one on Monday and really went through some awesome tips that kind of gave me some great ideas to build better concepts in my speaking, to come up with better stories of origin, to kind of kick off those concepts. And lo and behold, I got invited to another speaking event coming up here in Tampa that I'm super pumped about. So lots of good things happening in my little world over here. How about you, partner?
Man, I got a lot. I'm going to go quick because, again, y'all get ready. Everybody go ahead, get your popcorn ready. It's the morning. Get your coffee, whatever. We got a powerhouse group that's about to hop on, and we're gonna drop some serious gold nuggets for you guys. But my win, definitely, I've got a few of them, and I'll go through them quick. I mean, Secure the Bag. So Secure the Bag was an event that we hosted at the Sheraton the day before registration for 8% Nation. We set the room for 90. Standing room only, baby. So I'm pretty sure we had over 100 people in there. It was jam-packed. It was really cool. Actually, every single speaker that's about to pop on, or every guest that's about to pop on, was speaking at that event. And then we segued from there, which, I mean, and it was an epic. We went for about 5.5 hours just getting after it. And every single speaker was dropping gold for the members, or for the attendees. Then we go to 8%. 8% was freaking boom, dude. And I'm going to read some of my notes. But wow. Wow. I still am speechless. Like I was telling Cody, I'm like, man, I don't have much else to say other than freaking bravo, dude. Bravo. Because it was, I mean, Jessi Itzler, Ed Milet, I mean, all the speakers, Cody, Brian Haskins, Roger, everybody, Nate. It was freaking awesome. And then, so I get home, and then old Texas Redwood brings home another championship, baby. We got 7 bats. Dude, $500 cash, 10 bats, 10 rings, and a massive
trophy,
freaking
right?
trophy. I can't even take a picture of it. It's so freaking tall. But man, it was, I mean, just that recap. And then now we've got a team that is going to Worlds out in Vegas in December.
Nice.
So that one's going to be really cool. We've got some really cool things in the works for that. But those are
Let me
my
know
wins.
if you need a catcher. I'll bring my glove.
I don't know if you want that, Tony. I wouldn't even sign up for that, man. It's like these guys are too damn good.
Right.
But yeah, man. So and again, segueing, right, from events and from everything, you guys can see, and I know a lot of y'all were at. If you're at 8% or if you're at Secure the Bag, put it in the comments. Would love to hear that from y'all. But I know you guys are probably feeling the same way as I am, same way as Tony is, the same way as some of our guests that are about to hop on. Wow, events, conferences, networking. I mean, dude, it was freaking lights out all of last week.
Absolutely.
With that being said, I'm going to start. We got multiple guests on here, guys. I'm just going to start bringing them on. And Tony, if you want to kind of talk about them a little bit.
Absolutely. What's up, Mr. Starks? We got Anthony Starks. We got Jessi Park. We got John Wetmore, and we got Rob Richman in the house. What is going on, guys? Man, it is great to see y'all. We saw all of y'all at 8% last week, and it's fantastic to have you here. So thanks so much for joining us. Mr. Starks, you look primed and ready. How was 8% for you last week?
Oh, man, life-changing, game-changing. I always make you level up.
Yeah. Did your family coming out and dancing and doing their thing and your kids all introducing themselves as champions was absolutely beautiful. Thank you for that. And thank you all for taking time to talk. Your message is phenomenal. And I know everybody in that house absolutely loved you guys. So great job for y'all. And obviously you guys are doing big things out there. So what's happening in your world this week? Like, what's a big win for you?
Huge win, man. We got some other people we onboarding, some new team members. So that's one. Had a good carrier meeting yesterday with another disability company that we're onboarding. That's going to be a huge game changer for us. So we're getting those contracting complete. So that's awesome. And we just got other few things that we're going to be rolling out that I don't want to spill the secret sauce just yet.
He said, hey, just a few. He said, hey, if the Starks are saying a few, man, it's probably a lot.
Yeah, they're making things happen over there. Big moves.
Stay tuned. You'll see.
All right. Pulling the string. I like it. What's going on, Miss Park? How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thanks for asking.
Absolutely. It's great to have you on the show. And you as well spoke at 8%, did a phenomenal job as you always do. Your message continues to get better and better and better every time you get out there and deliver it. And it was great. You had a chance to have your kids there with you this time, right?
I did. Yeah. They, my daughter cried. Yeah, it was. Yeah. She kind of tripped me up on stage because I look over and she's going.
How old is your daughter?
She's 19.
Nice.
Awesome.
Nice. So she's certainly been there and watched the whole journey herself, right?
Yeah. It's just phenomenal growth in the last 5.5 years since I started in insurance, and when they were little, they, think life was just different. We couldn't afford a lot of things and I had to tell them no a lot, that they couldn't do this or that. And it's just different. So they've got to see the come up, and it's amazing.
Awesome. What's a win for you? Very often anymore?
What? Sorry.
What? No worries. I was curious. They probably don't hear no very often anymore, right?
Oh, well, no, they still do. They have their own jobs, and it's not like that. They have their own bills and everything, but they know I'm here. Awesome. So if they ever get into trouble or something, no, my daughter works for me.
Oh, cool.
She has an admin job. So yeah, we're good.
Put them to work. To work. What's a weekly win for you?
Really, I mean, we started kicking off our life insurance division a couple months ago, and it's really starting to make traction now. And we have agents submitting policies on the daily, which is really good. So it feels really good to be able to offer my agents like full service health, life, Medicare annuities. It's an awesome feeling.
Good.
Sweet. Good to have you. Mr. Wetmore. Do more with Wetmore. What is happening, buddy?
Man, all is good, brother. How about you?
I'm doing fantastic. I saw you guys killing it. I popped in late at your Secure the Bag event. You guys definitely had it packed. So that was good to see. And it's always good to bump into you. How was your time at 8%? What was your favorite part?
Man, we had a blast, dude. Honestly, my favorite part was having Maddox there to be able to enjoy, and all the speakers, meet a bunch of people, learn from it. I mean, it was the first one that he's like, and for those that don't know, Maddox is 10. He's my youngest son out of 5. And, he's been around this world a lot. So I think for the years he's kind of taken it for granted. He just sits in the back and plays video games normally. But he really absorbed some of it this time, man. He got to meet Tebow. He took some things away. And when we left, y'all know we do that 75 hard deal, that workout. For those that don't know what it is, Google it. So we get home and Maddox is like, Daddy, I'm doing 75 hard.
Hey.
So Anthony, Maddox is in, bro. Come on.
Let's go.
That's
nice. That sounds like a weekly win right there.
Yeah, buddy. Yeah. So, hey, awesome. Everyone's teaching 10-year-olds to step up, and think bigger and do more, man.
Yeah.
So it's cool
I can't imagine what that's like to be 10 years old and be exposed to that kind of atmosphere. Right. Yeah, I never had that privilege growing up, but that is super cool for him to be able to be in that room surrounded by all of that energy. The fireworks, the lights, it's such a bombastic show that Cody puts together. And then just to be surrounded by all these people, get to see you on stage talking, doing your thing and your swagger. Yeah. So that's super cool, man.
Yeah.
Super
cool.
It was
awesome
Glad to have
watch
you with
and be
us.
a part of. Same, brother.
Absolutely.
Happy to be part of it.
Well, thank you for joining us. What's going on, Mr. Richman? How are you today?
I'm doing great, man. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Thank you for joining us. Why don't you tell us what's happening in your world out there? What's winning? What's cooking for you?
Well, number one, I think the weekly win for me is really just getting uncomfortable and starting to do these things. I met with John at his office actually, and he's like, "Look, man, you got to get out there and start meeting some people and get a more well-rounded perspective on this business." So I'm really excited to be here. This is the first event like this. Well, not event, but this is the first podcast like this that I've done. And Joe, thanks for having me at that Secure the Bag thing. That was awesome.
Yeah. You killed it.
Yeah, that's what's going on, man. Just moved into a new house up in North Texas. Couldn't be happier. And
Sweet.
Honored to be here.
Sweet.
Love it.
Very, very cool. Thank you guys for coming out. Well, we're obviously here to talk, about kind of the power of networking, the power of conferences. And I can certainly give a testimony to my trajectory, because my trajectory has certainly changed since I started getting into conferences. The first 8% that I went to, I was given a free ticket. They're like, "Here, you have to go." And I wasn't interested in going, but somebody gave me a free ticket, says, "No, Merwin, you got to go. We need voices like yours there. We need people like you with your influence in the business." And so I went. And then since then, just to give an example, I went from one event that I got a free ticket. And then this year, or actually since last October, I should say. So in the last 12 months, basically, I've been to 17 events, spoken at 14. And I've got 2 more coming up later this month. So, I'm all in to win on events. Like, it's completely changed my trajectory. And I know other people can have that same testimony, that same testament of what it's done for them. And it's the opportunity to get around high power people that are charged, that are successful, that are motivated, that are making things happen, the opportunity to network with them and build relationships, partnerships. That's how I met Joe. That's how I met all you guys.
Literally, that's what I was going to say. I was like, every single person on this call, right? And anybody watching, like, you guys see, right, the net worth, we'll say, on this call, right? But the network all started I met them all at an event because I was sitting in the room with them, right? And I did that whole, anybody that went to my breakout, and I did it at Secure the Bag too, the speed dating for insurance agents was really trying to open people's eyes that, dude, literally somebody that could help expand your net worth, that could be in your network, could be sitting right next to you at an event. And I think a lot of people, and again, everybody on this call, I'm sure they're going to be able to talk on it. You're missing out by not getting there. And I think there's a lot of people out there that really view events or view these in person kind of like it's not working or something. I'm like, man, and we talk about this, Tony. I said, are y'all not watching me, man? Like 18 months goes by, like we having like 500% growth. And I'm sitting here saying, guys, it's because of these events that I've gone to. And everybody's like, oh, events don't work, man. I'm like, all right, well then y'all, but again, we want, and this is why I wanted to have this call. There is so much power in getting in that freaking room, to coin Cody Askins. Just get in that room, and I promise you that your life will start to, and like not just change, right? But even for, again, me and Tony can relate. It's like drastically change, right? To where it's like, oh my gosh, I look back not even 2 years ago where we were at with Redwood. And dude, it's like, I don't even like looking back because we were so far behind back then, but it all happened so fast, right? So I love that. And I'm super excited for this call for sure.
Absolutely, man. This is a powerhouse group of people. These are all superstar producers in the business out there. And again, like, we said, I met all of these people through an event. So I'd love for you guys to just chime in. Feel free to say whatever you like about events. Let's start with Anthony again. Let's just kick it right back around the circle. What would you say to the power of networking? Somebody says, "Oh, do I really want to go to an event? Is it really worth it? Is it worth the ticket price? It's $1,000 for me to get in that room. Is it really worth it?" What would you say?
I would say it's absolutely worth it. And the reason being is because typically when you're in your everyday life and you're in your office and you are on your own island, you're by yourself. So when you want to have a difference of perspective, you want to see different things, hear different things, get a different way of thinking. If you're always closed off where you are, you won't ever be able to get exposed to anything different. So when you get into the room with other winners who doing things even bigger, I've talked to John several times, Jessi, you, Tony, I've talked to Joe, just different little things, that just little nuggets here and here, go back, tweaking our agency, and next thing you know, we made an extra $10,000 that month. So even if it costs Well, the investment was $1,000 to get in the room or 5,000 to get in the room, where you just made your money back because you got a chance to implement something that was just a small tweak, a millimeter shift that helped take you to the next level. So if you want to go where winners are, you have to go where the winners are.
Yes. That's good.
Well
And that's
said.
good. Would you invest, right? So I love that you brought up the price point, Tony. That's so important because I think
Yeah.
it's what deters a lot of people. But would you spend 10,000 to make 20? Would you spend 20 to make
Every
40?
time.
Right. So then really when you look at it, it's like maybe you're spending more to get more, right? And maybe it's like, hey,
Right.
maybe you start at that $500 or $1,000 ticket. But I love that you said that because you'll get your money back, man. And it's quick how fast it comes back. It's like in the next week, I've already got new recruits coming in, like you were talking about, right? We've already got new products coming in. You're coming a week off an event, and I'm sure some of that momentum is coming from 8% and everything that happened last week.
Yeah, and
Absolutely.
you can even just see it how charged you are, and even the people around you that know you, that say, "Hey, man, what's going on? Oh man, I just came from this event. I'm fired up," and they can just even see it, just like a glow on you when you get exposed to big lights, big people, big thoughts, big ideas, and you just become different.
It's good.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You know, this coming out of this event, I went to this event with a little different mindset this time. I went just to truly be a sponge. You know, I had some panels that I was working, but other than that, I was really there for my own kind of selfish purposes. I wasn't there to work the event so much. I was there to absolutely be a sponge, soak it up, and do as much networking as I could for the most part. And was bang up job. I mean, the whole thing was just absolutely phenomenal. One of my favorite things that I did get to do while I was there, because I was running a panel, was the Women in Leadership panel. Was absolutely the best panel that I ran. It was a testament to the guests that were up there. I had Galen Hendricks, Letitia Jackson, Ashley Gronberg, Cassidy Arbelli, and Paula Harrington were all up there with me. And that was an outstanding panel, just to be surrounded by some of these extremely successful ladies that were killing it in the business. I think the only person that we were missing was the lovely Jessi Park, who's killing it out there in the business. One of the absolute beautiful examples, beautiful steward in the business. I mean, you've been in the business for 5 years, right? And you're starting to circulate around. People are starting to find out who you are, right? Because
5
a lot of us
years.
had no clue who
Wow.
you are. Right. And then now here you are, you've come on the scene, you got books, you got bags, you got perfume, you're an artist. Like, you're such an incredibly well-rounded, successful person. Like, what is going on in your head that gets you to be able to do all these different things that you're doing?
Well, first off, I work a lot.
Obviously.
Hey, Wetmore's like, right on.
I completely maximize the day and everything, and my insurance business comes first, and I'm someone who always has to have something to strive for. So when I first started in insurance, it was, I want to write 1 million, and then it was, I want to grow a small team. And then it was, okay, I have this idea for an agency. Let me brand it. Let me kind of make it known. And then it was, let me write a book. Well, someone asked me to write a book, and I said yes. And then I needed the workbook. And then all of a sudden I started traveling and kind of getting around to conferences. And I realized that women were missing a storage solution that you guys already have. You guys have rolling briefcases that are sexy. We don't have that. And so then I was like, let me design a bag. But I can't stop there. And so at night I would just, research, like, the bag is like from a ground up type thing too, like learning how to do everything, different types of leather, buckles, materials, and just, but I'm someone who always has to be striving for something. So, my goal is to be top of my game at everything. So I think my insurance business is doing good. We wrote like 55 million last year. Hopefully we top that this year. I want to be like John Wetmore one day and hit 100. But I launched my bag business over the weekend too. And I'm expected, like, revenue wise and everything. Like, I really think that I'm going to hit 500,000 on the bags this year too.
Wow.
So, yeah. So I'm just a multi-passionate entrepreneur. I have a lot of passions. It's not just insurance. It's not just people. It's winning at everything.
Come on. And now there's going to be perfume in those bags when you buy those bags, right?
For pre-order only.
Yeah, right. Pre-order. Yeah. She's like, I'm back ordered till 2023, baby. Come on. I freaking love it.
Yeah.
And what's anything in regards to events? I mean, like you weren't, I don't know, maybe you were doing events before I met you, right? Because I didn't meet you
No,
until
I
we started
wasn't.
bumping each other at events.
No, my
Anything?
first, yeah, no, I do. The power of events is huge. I went to my first event was last 8%. I sat in the back and we were at the Stratford, I think that's the name of it. It was hot. So it was like sweaty back there. And I just kept thinking to myself, maybe if it hadn't been so hot and I hadn't been so comfortable, I wouldn't have been like, I need to be up front, but I was like, I need to be on stage. Like 50 million, that's not a small number. And so I felt like I kind of, I guess, had something to prove. So I joined Power Players. There's not that many women that kind of, reach the numbers that I've hit in such a short amount of time. So I wanted to represent, I wanted to go out there and I wanted to show other women that it's possible. And, nothing against men, but I built my agency by myself. I didn't have anyone by my side. And I think that's important for women to realize, like, you don't have to be a spouse in the business. You can actually be the head person building something. And there's no discrimination in the insurance industry, at least, it's been good for me. Of course you face little things here and there, like little comments or whatever, but brush those off. They don't matter.
Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. So I wanted to show other women that it is possible. And then once I got into Power Players, I met a bunch of really awesome people. I met the Starks, like they were some of the first people I met, and like Rakita, like just amazing. I met John Wetmore, and then it just kind of like you start surrounding yourself with people that are making more than you and doing better, and a light bulb just goes off, and you just come across so many opportunities and ideas, and you start thinking even just a little bit differently. And this year, since I joined Power Players last year, I may have done the bags or not, but I feel like I was more in tune with my entrepreneurial side, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. Love it. Love it. Mr. Wetmore, you're headed to an event right now, aren't you?
Man, I'm going to the Braves, taking Maddox to the Braves game. They got a day game today, and Stephanie was like, we should go. Maddox had a sleepover, so Maddox and one of his buddies. Say hi.
Nice.
What up?
Hi.
Nice.
He goes,
There we
hi.
So we're headed to the Braves game.
Very cool. Well, if they need a catcher, let me know. I'm available.
Hey, I will let them know.
What's your take on events? You obviously work with an enormous team, and I know you guys run your own events, and then now you're out there participating in all these other events. You have an event coming up with Coach Burt that I saw, Living with the Monster Power Couples Retreat. Like, what has changed for Mr. Wetmore since you started getting out there more publicly at some of these events? Like, what would you have to say about that?
It's wild watching the rabbit hole that I'm going down on this journey. And what's funny is we built FFL through events.
Right.
So I've done hundreds of events and over the years, but they were all internal. And this is what Rob and everyone in this chat I've met at an event. Literally, everyone was part of an event I was at that I've met. But we built our company that way, but it was very internal. Never did any external stuff, never anything out in the world. We were just kind of in our own little bubble, if you will. And, about a little over a year and a half ago now, I was like, I want to start getting out in the world because I don't know anyone in the industry. And I was making an impact in FFL at this stage, and, integrity was there. And I'm like, I want to be part of the industry. And I had met Cody at an event in 2018. And so I reached out to him watching what he was doing. And I'm like, dude, I want to be part of this thing. I don't really know how, but I want to show up and I want to contribute somehow, some way. And we talked, and I just showed up, I sat second row because Roger ran to the front and got first row last year. So I got stuck in the second row behind Roger, but I got to meet him, literally sitting right behind him. I didn't know him before. Met Starks, obviously, met everybody here. But if I look at even bigger picture outside of insurance, dude, it's leading me to outside insurance stuff as well now, in that I met Cody at an event, which then I started going to his event. At Cody's last event last year, I bumped into Coach Burt, who I did not know, in the lobby. Him and I just started talking. We hit it off. He invited me to his Monster Nation event, which I went to last year. From that event, I got invited to an event that Brad Lee was attending. So I got to meet him, fly private with Brad Lee. And then I left 8% this year and I went to a Brad Lee event and I got to meet Andy Elliott. if I don't know if y'all know any of him, but he's got a $100 million company, and met him backstage. No intention of speaking at the event, just started talking insurance and training and stuff. And he's like, "Hey, dude, come on stage with me for 5 minutes." So I get on stage with Andy Elliott, and I'm up there for 30 minutes talking leads and strategy and sales stuff, and all from events. And now this year, again, I got to speak at 8%. I'm speaking at Monster Nation this year, and I'm doing the thing in the couples retreat in November with Coach Burt.
Yep.
You know?
Let's go.
It's wild, dude. All that from just a decision to take action, an event. When we showed up to 8% last year, Steph and I went to the welcome party. And dude, it's the first time I walked, because again, I've only been to FFL events. We walked into this insurance event, dude, and it was like I was just a fly on the wall. No one really knew me. No one. We're walking around like, this is different. You know, for what it's turned into in a year has been bananas for our business, my personal world, friendships, relationships. I mean, it means the world to me, all the people I've got to meet through this process. So.
Right
on.
That's literally, I remember that. That's literally, we were at Cody's. We actually met at SWAT, and then we were talking in Nate's backyard, and so we were just kind of shooting the shit back there. And then I saw you again. I saw you at multiple events between them, but then we were at 8% virtual. And this is, I just want to say this because it's just it's a baller story. Is we were sitting there and we had just like finished up dinner and stuff, and we were talking, and you know, I can't remember what we were actually like. We were talking about a few things just with what we were doing on the PNC side and stuff like that. Obviously, now we're trying to make the push in life and all that. And you're like, you know what, dude? And this is what I love, right? Like, I really, if I'm being 100% honest, and I know there's people out there, like I was 27 at the time. There's a lot of people that I meet in rooms where sometimes you almost feel as though, damn, I really ain't got no business being in this room when it comes to certain dollar signs and things like that. Now, I don't really let that take away from me. I've got a lot of energy and I'm cool with rocking jerseys and doing that. But, you know, I remember you were like, you know what, dude? How about this, man? I'm coming to Austin, man. He goes, what are you doing next week? And literally Amanda just walks up right next to you, books a trip. You guys were literally there for like 2.5 days. You ran my ATX agent hangout event with us, which that one was the best agent hangout we had, right? And I think a lot of people don't, like, you'll get to see us talking on shows like this, but you don't really get to understand or to really get to know somebody unless you're literally sitting there talking with them, like in person, right? And I think that was really eye-opening for me. I'm like, yo, this is the $100 million man, and he's flying to my office for 2.5 days, and I didn't even ask him. And don't get me wrong, I freaking wanted him there, but it was like he booked that and was there within a week. And I think that goes to show a lot of humility on your part. Like, he didn't have to come do that, y'all. But again, imagine if you were in my shoes and you're sitting in that room and then John Wetmore's coming to your office in a week, right? How cool would that be? And I think that's, again, I wanted to highlight that because that is part of the power of just being in that room, right? Being at that dinner, it's not just conferences, guys. It can be a couples retreat, which I'm going to that. I'm super excited to bring my wife to that. I'm trying to get her more involved into the space. But no, I just wanted to highlight that because it can happen to anybody. So just get there.
I'm kind of glad you brought that, or I am glad you brought that up, Joe, because that leads me to kind of a thought topic. I want everybody to jump in on, kind of give me their thoughts on it. But imposter syndrome when it comes to events, like, I don't deserve to be in this room, right? And this came up actually, and I hope she doesn't get mad, but I'm going to call my wife out. We joined that Power Players group, and at one point, like, we're in that room hanging out and doing our thing, and she's like, I don't think we belong in this room. She's like, I feel like I'm in the wrong room. Like, I don't deserve to be here. And I'm like, no, that's, in my opinion, I'm like, that's the wrong attitude. Like, if you feel like you're the lowest or the dumbest person in the room, you're in the right room, right? Ultimately, that's kind of my thought, but I'd love to hear kind of y'all's talk or thoughts on that. If you've ever been in a room where you felt like, I'm imposter syndrome, I don't deserve to be in this room, right? I'm not good enough to be in this room. I'd love to hear some of you guys just kind of speak to that.
Well, I think Rob, real quick, I want to hear Rob, because I think Rob, and correct me if I'm wrong, I mean, your stint in insurance hasn't been like anything crazy long either. That's why I also love, like, everybody on this call. I feel like we've all been in like a very short time, but have also been able to find a massive amount of success very quickly, right? And so, Rob, maybe talk about the event stuff that we were just previously talking about, and then kind of shift into that imposter syndrome, because if you're an integrity partner now, if I'm correct, right? Yeah. So obviously, from where you started, right, you probably had some of that syndrome, that feeling like, oh man, and then it's like, oh, guess what? Fast forward, now you're an integrity partner.
Yeah, well,
maybe
100%. Like, it's mind blowing to hear John talk about, because I remember when he started going to these 8% events, and it's like, what It's like, what is this whole thing? And just to hear that little linear, like, what the heck? In 18 months, you're flying private, doing events at Brad Lee's house. Like, it's crazy. And for me, 100% the imposter syndrome to a degree there. But even more so, I was just in my own way. And first of all, I got to get around y'all a whole heck of a lot more than I have, because just sitting on here, I'm like, what have I been missing out on over the last couple of years, ignoring these events? And I was like, number one, I don't want to get recruited. And number two, I don't want to have to feel like I have to recruit at these events. And just going and absorbing just the energy and meeting people and all of the different relationships that you can start from that. I'm like, that wasn't even in my head. So now like the opportunity cost of me not going to those things, like, whoa, mind blowing, man, I wish I would have done this a while ago. Good thing is I can start going to as many events as I possibly can get to logistically now. But yeah, the imposter syndrome is like, it's weird. Like, I'm on this call with you guys right now, and I'm like, am I worthy of being on this call? What value can I bring to this?
Yes.
And you know what I can say is maybe someone can take from this a little piece to say, yo, don't be afraid to get on this stuff. Like, get out of your comfort zone, get around these people. And maybe one conversation, one interaction will change the entire trajectory of your career. And sometimes like the same words, but with a different voice will have an entirely different message to you. And, you know, that's it.
Bingo.
Ain't that the truth?
Yep.
You've heard it before. Somebody said it to you, but then you're like, whatever. And then you hear it from somebody else at an event. You're like, oh, that's genius. Like, that's what I've been telling you.
Right. And I will say this too, like, y'all, there's a time to work too. Right. And I know we're sitting here talking about events. Like, Rob's like, oh man, what have I been missing? I was like, well, I mean, you have been just freaking grinding and building a multi-million-dollar business, and you're an integrity partner now. So you haven't, I mean, you've missed some, but I mean, and I think that's part of it too, right? There is a time to go to these events, to grow your network, to have those types of things happen in your life, right? And I love that you said that. One, I always preach this. One event. It could literally be one event. It could be one person. It could be one, and this is why Ed Milet blew my mind. One choice, one decision, that one more speech from 8% was so freaking good, right? But I also think, okay, we're talking about events and the power of them. Dude, if you ain't bringing them back home and implementing in your agencies or in your businesses, they're not really, I mean, you maybe have some good friends, but then your good friends are implementing, and they're going to long pass you by, right? And so I just wanted to highlight that too, because I got to give you props. Rob is way too humble right now. The guy's a freaking beast. Secure the Bag. He did literally like his entire freaking phone call and was like basically closing from stage, and it was like boom, baby. It was so good. But yeah, I did want to say that is like, hey, there's a time to work. And I think everybody on this call really is a great example of like, hey, we go to events, but man, we get after it once we get home for sure.
Absolutely. You have to take that energy and take whatever actionable steps, right? Even if it is just the motivation that gets you, right? That's fine. Take that motivation, take that charge, bring it back to the things you already know and use it, man. Let it propel you through, because insurance is a tough business. We all know that, right? It's not easy. If it were easy, everybody would do it.
Right.
So yeah, even if it's just a motivation, bring that back and charge through. But ultimately, you know, there are some phenomenal actionable content that you can grab. And you just need one item, just get one thing, get it back into your business, get it back into your personal self, and use that to thrust yourself in a better direction or elevate your trajectory. So,
Jessi, real quick, I saw you.
I
think, Jessi, you had something on the imposter syndrome, I think, before we kicked off with Rob. What you got?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think I've talked about this from stage several times, you know, depending on what I'm talking about. But I feel like the imposter syndrome I think everyone feels it, but I think sometimes, especially women, feel it a little bit more because, and the reason why I say that is because, you know, I feel like the microscope is on us just a little bit more. So like if we sit and we brag about how much, you know, we've done, or our team, or how much our agency's done, you know, I don't know if any guys ever get this, but do you guys ever get like, wow, you're being very conceited, you know, or wow, you're bragging just a little too much, you know? I don't know if you guys ever get that, but I feel like we walk a fine line, because if we don't speak up and we don't say, you know, our accomplishments or anything like that, then we're too shy. So I feel like it's like a double-edged sword, and we kind of have to navigate that. I've come to terms with the fact that I no longer, sometimes it'll creep in, and I'll, you know, the little voice will whisper like, is this really you? You know, are you sure you feel comfortable saying that? Or you're really not that important compared to everybody else in here. You know, I think we all get that from time to time, especially whenever I was approached about writing my book. I literally I made a post on Facebook and I said something like, a publisher just reached out to me, asked me to write a book. If I wrote a book, would anyone read it? Like, I really felt like I didn't have anything important to say and nothing to contribute. And I think we all in some way, shape, or form sometimes feel that. Right. But I guess my best advice really is just to ignore it. And I know it's easier said than done, but
Yep.
just ignore it, push through, power through. And you are special. Like, you do have something to share. Even if it's just a small win, something you say could potentially change someone else's life forever because you shared that point with them. Right. So I think my biggest lesson and my biggest takeaway this whole year was that I know what I say does matter, because I've had people come up to me and tell me that what I said changed their life. So
Yep. Or your book. I think, hey, are people going to read my book? Well, I think over 1,000 people have said otherwise. Jessi, if I'm not mistaken, you've got over 1,000 orders on that bad boy. So that's freaking awesome. And I think, real quick, I wanted to give you a shout out, Jessi. I'm even on this call. You're the one woman on this call, right? And I love your power and I love your message that, hey, don't shake it off, right? Don't be scared of anything. And nobody's perfect, right? And you're going to have that little voice, but hey, just ignore it, right? And just keep going, keep getting better. And so I just want to shout out, to you, Jessi, and everything that you represent, and really what you're doing in our industry in a very short period of time. I mean, you are empowering women, right? And really not even just, you're empowering everybody. Like, for me, I freaking love you. Like, every time you talk, I'm like, damn, Jessi is freaking killing it. So kudos to you. I think you're killing it. I wanted to pivot back. So we were talking, and Anthony, I'll start with you on this one, and then kick over to Wetmore if you still got time there before the ball game. But we briefly talked about kids and bringing your kids to these events, right, and the power of these events. And so for me, a lot of people know, I'm all about the youth. I do your youth at church. I'm really big on, hey, start them young, right? And I know it's that's just the term, but for me, I love to give back to that younger generation because they're our future leaders. Talk a little bit about, really kind of your mindset. Hey, this is why, and I love, dude, the way you all are raising your kids. They are freaking beasts, man.
Champions.
They're freaking champions. And I just want to hear more about that. Let's elaborate a little bit on that, because it's what, for my daughter, I mean, I can't bring my 8-month-old, my 3-year-old quite yet. I mean, maybe I'll get Lori in there next year when she's 4, but I think it's so important. I think, you and John are obviously, doing well with it. And Jessi, you too, as well, bringing your kids. So.
Yeah, great question. It all really stems from, I want my kids to see themselves a certain way. And so once they can see themselves a certain way, then they can believe what they see. Because a lot of times, just say for me personally, growing up in the hood, a lot of times, whether it was teachers, whether it was older people in the neighborhood, if they viewed themselves as negative, then that became their reality. So they didn't really see themselves in a position of power or a position of success, or it was always the man holding me down, or this kind of deal, or that kind of deal. It was always something external. So for us, me and Rakita, we decided, you know what, we're going to change the game by allowing them to talk to themselves a certain way, allow them to see themselves a certain way, even with our own show and stuff that we record and we put it on YouTube and it's on the TV. We want them to see themselves a certain way. And so bringing them up on stage in front of all of those people was just a mind-blowing experience from them. And even after that day, every day they said, when are we going back on the stage? When are we going to be able to talk on the stage? When are we going to be able to, you see what I'm saying? But for most people, they are afraid to talk on the stage. Am I going to mess up? They have public speaking fears or whatever, but not them. They looking forward to it. And so I understand the power of words. And if you're projecting your voice to people, not only in sales, but just influence, period, I want them to pick it up early as a leader, as a leadership quality, to be able to have something in their head and have value to speak out to the world so that they can then have an impact in the world.
That is beautiful.
Come on.
It was so cute when y'all first got up there. Y'all were dancing and they were kind of a little shy. They're like, there's 1,000 people in this room and all these lights and everything going on. You could see they were a little shell shocked. But then once they broke through it and they started, man, they were cutting a rug. Yeah. They were in there throwing down some moves. They started jamming, doing their thing. It was hysterical, man. It was so awesome to see that.
Yeah.
That's good. Wetmore, what
Yeah.
you got on that?
Man, I think it's hard to top that because the Starks are really good at it, and their kids are phenomenal. For me, this is now 5. And I was late to the game of self-development, and my natural personality. I'm pretty timid. I have fears of doing things that I'm intimidated by, or I only been even speaking in any realm like in front of 4 people. 2015 is the first time I even did a event in insurance, and there were like 12 people in the room, and I was nervous. And I had to have someone up there with me to ask me questions. Was the only way I could do it. I couldn't go up by myself. So, and my natural personality throughout my life is to not. I certainly believed I could do things, but I was always very timid. Like, if I wanted to, if there was like volunteer for this or who wants to do this, like deep down, I wanted to do it, but I wouldn't make that jump. You know what I mean? And I've regretted that so many times in my career, in my life, that when I started to get the opportunity, a handful of years ago to start doing things and being that leader, if you will, I was scared. I just decided I was going to start doing it anyway, And Maddox has a lot of my personality in him. He can certainly by nature be a little bit shy and, afraid to stand out. So now I'm focusing on teaching him that it's okay to be nervous and to do things anyway, and that's a pretty standard conversation in our world. And, I'm proud at some of the things he does. Like they went to the summer camp and they did like zip lining, and he was nervous out of his mind, like teared up. And he's like, Daddy, I cried, but I did it anyway. You know what I mean? And like that stuff makes me happy. So the event thing for me is to get him around the way different people think. I want him seeing a different life. I want him hearing stories like this and conversations like this, that it's okay to be scared and do things anyway. That's the overall message we're trying to pass, and that he can accomplish things if he just goes through that scared and does it anyway. And after you do something that you're afraid of, you realize it wasn't that big a deal, and I tried to get him to walk out with me. He definitely said no. He went backstage to meet Tebow, and I'm like, stay here and come out. And he was like, I ain't doing that, bro. So one step at a time.
Yep.
But for me, it's similar, man. I want him to think a certain way. I want him to stand out from the crowd. I want him to be okay trying things, and seeing that the result of it usually comes out positive. And at the very least, you can learn something from it, even if it doesn't turn out the exact way you hoped. So all of that. And, I think, again, as we come back, he learned a lot from it. I like teaching him how to introduce himself to adults and look people in the eye and shake their hand. And, that stuff's important to me because I wasn't that way till way late in life. And, he's becoming a cool kid in environments around successful people, and I want that to be the norm in his world. Sorry, we're in a parking garage, so I'm going dark.
No, you're good. You're good.
All
This
good,
is now
brother.
This is the second show I've done with John where he somehow is in a parking garage. It's amazing.
It is, dude.
So real quick
Hey,
here.
I'm always trying to work, bro.
Let's get
Whatever I
it.
can
Let's
do.
get it.
Go right.
So let's go ahead just to respect everybody's time here. But I wanted to, again, so let's bring it back. Let's just talk about events, about really just let's just talk about networking in general. And then we'll wrap up the show here. But Rob, if you could kick us off, for anybody that's really watching, again, that maybe is on the fence, what are like 1 to 2 really kind of like that's bits of advice, like how to get into the room, or even like just some type of encouragement to get them there, or maybe even something like of a personal experience that, hey, look, man, when I did this. So just kind of, again, giving a few bits of advice to the listeners.
Yeah, it's okay to be the quiet one in the room. Like you can go to these and just listen. There's no pressure to talk or do anything. I mean, obviously introduce yourself, give a good handshake and make some eye contact, but it's okay to go there and just get in slowly and then let the momentum carry you. And maybe eventually you will get on stage if you built something worth sharing. And, one of my mentors in the business said, like, people that are afraid to present are being selfish because they're worried about how it's going to make them feel. Be unselfish and just have the confidence to go out and pour into people and share your experiences with them, because you don't know what little thing you're going to say is going to have massive impact on those individuals. So, I mean, I don't have too much to add, unfortunately, on this call. Maybe the next one we do, I'll have gone and gotten out of my comfort zone the way that I'm preaching right now, and I got to practice that. So it's okay to be quiet and go in the room, learn, absorb more than pouring out, because maybe you don't have anything to pour out right now, but man, if you go in and you absorb and you listen enough, sooner than later, you're going to start to have the content and the experiences and the confidence to start pouring out into the people that may be you a year down the road.
Yes. Yep. That's 100%. And real quick, so then we'll let you, before we move on, how can people find you if they want to reach out to you, Rob? What you got there for them?
You can get me on IG at Rob Richman, or I think Richman_Rob. I need to get better with social media too. Like, I got to think about my handle. Or y'all can holler at me, shoot me a text. I respond to everything. My number is 440-487-1499, and I'm happy to talk and pour into anybody unselfishly just to help you take your careers to the next level.
I love it. I love it. Thank you so much for hopping on, y'all. Again, Rob Richman, dude's a freaking beast. And hey, y'all, this is you just now starting to hear from him. And I tell you, it ain't going to be the last time. You said, hey, we definitely having another call for sure. Would love to have you back. Jessi, what you got for our listeners?
As far as networking?
Encouragement to get in the room, or any type of bits of advice, or maybe even a personal story.
Yeah, sure. So, I think like what everyone is saying, I think in the beginning, anything new, we're all uncomfortable, especially, and I know there's extroverts and introverts. I'm more of an introvert, believe it or not. Like John was saying, like if anyone is going to call on anyone, I'll put my head down. Like, I don't want to be Anthony.
Don't get in the same room as Rakita, homegirl, about to get you.
I know. So I think for introverts, it's even harder to make yourself get out there and push through and go through the awkwardness of meeting and talking to people. I can't say it's my favorite thing, honestly. But if you are career minded, getting out there and meeting people is really what you need to do. It's networking, it doesn't have to take forever. Commit to maybe one conference or one networking event a month, one conference per year, or one networking event a month. You can join a local networking group like Business Networking International or something like that. But just literally getting in the room, you can meet one person that changes the path of your life forever. And so I just get out there and just do it and push through that awkwardness. I've been doing it. I've been forcing myself. I don't know if any of you guys did the Orlando Roadshow, but that was my first time. I'd spoken before, but never, I guess, like on stage. I guess the stage and climbing up those 3 steps made a difference. I was so nervous. Oh my gosh. And I have this thing where I breathe extra with them. So I'm like, it sounds like I have like an asthma attack, but just push through it, because I know my message is going to impact somebody. And so that's really what I did, is I just pushed through it, but really just get out there and make an effort. Yep,
absolutely. Mr. Starks, what you got for us, brother?
Man, I would say for me, it's just one of those things to where being in events, being in a room, networking, it really makes you feel like, and you never really heard me cuss, especially on a platform, but man, it really make you feel like, man, this shit can't be real.
Come on.
I'm gonna tell you why I say that.
Come on.
And I'm gonna tell you why I say that. It's because once you grow up a certain kind of way, you always have these external limitations or self-limiting beliefs that, well, wealthy people are evil, people are selfish, the white man holds you down. Or like from a woman's perspective, men are gonna try to oppress you, from men to women and women to men, that sort of stuff, right? But when you're in the room with actual winners, that all goes out the door. And I say it's unreal because if you're playing sports like on a basketball team and you're playing against a competitor, because technically we all are competitors, right? But if I'm on one team and another team is on another team, they're not going to tell me their secret sauce like, hey, Johnny over there can't go left, so take the ball from him when he tries to go left. They're not going to tell you that. But y'all tell me secrets all the time, and I've shared secrets with y'all. And it's like, it's crazy how we all win in our own way, but we're not afraid to tell the next person how to be successful. And so that's why I said it just don't seem real, right? And so to see people who aren't on the same team technically in the same agency, but willing to share and help empower the next person is just mind blowing, because in everyday world, everybody's trying to pull you down to pull themselves up. But in these type of environments, getting into the right rooms, everybody's trying to lift everybody up.
Yep. And I tell you, and you, I know we've talked about this, and I know you guys, you and your family 100% agree, but bro, when you give, you get. And what's crazy is when you give, the get back is like, it's like a snow freaking ball effect, man, where it just starts rolling. And once it rolls, I mean, that thing is going. And that is something I've always lived by. People are like, dude, how do you like what? You just spent an hour with me and I'm not on your team. I never will be. I don't even do PNC and I'm helping you, like whatever it is. I'm like, because man, I want to help you find success. Whether that's through my personal experiences, right? Or maybe that's, something I've really started to get into now. Is like, you know what, man, it's okay that I don't know everything, but guess what? I know a person that does. And like, even just connecting somebody to the right person where, Rob, you said it earlier, where it's like sometimes it just takes a different person, a different voice saying the same thing for it to really resonate, for somebody to really hear it. So I love that you said that, Anthony. That's good stuff, man. I appreciate you, everything you and your family are doing. Mr. Wetmore, man, you want to bring us home from the Brave Stadium?
Yeah, buddy. Hey, look, we're here. We're in the background. We're at the Battery. If y'all ain't never been here, it's dope.
Ooh,
you should come.
Yes, it is.
So, yeah, I know. He's like, oh yes, it is. So you know what's funny is like, one thing I'm gonna say, I'm gonna reference back what Jessi said as far as like the conceited thing. I remember I used to feel that way too, and this something really simple helped me. I remember I was struggling talking about when I first started having success. I was having trouble talking about it with others. I didn't know how to express it the right way, and I felt like I was being some kind of way talking about positives in my life. And I remember Sean Mike kept it really simple, and he told me, dude, if it's true, it ain't bragging. It's more about your delivery. And if you can help people understand where you came from and where you went to, and be humble and talk about the negatives that you fought through, and the result was you're having success, I mean, that ain't being conceited. It's just telling the truth. So it's more about the delivery than anything. And that simple thing has stuck with me. He told me that probably 7 years ago, and it still sticks with me every day. So hopefully that helps somebody. But as far as networking, what I've learned in all these events is that successful people are dying to give back to people that are trying to do more in their world. In every event I've ever been to, I meet people that I'm like, I had no business in my world following Jessi Itzler on a stage and getting to meet him for 2 seconds backstage. It's like mind blowing to me, but again, he's there to contribute to help other people have success. And in every setting I've ever been in, people that have achieved something, they've gone out of their way to help me do better in my career because they saw I was in that environment trying to better my world. Right. So, and I know a lot of people are intimidated by folks having success. And I'm like, it's kind of weird, dude. Not that many people ask for help. As weird as it might think. You might think my phone rings all day, every day, and it really don't. And I still go in rooms where I feel intimidated. I'm hanging out with people doing $100 million in revenue. I did $100 million in premium. They're two different numbers. Right. So I think get around stuff. And one of the things that I've learned that works really well for me, like Rob said, I'm not the most, you don't have to talk in every room. I like to get to rooms early because there's less people there. And I like to stay late because there's people there. So this has worked really. I'm still here. My phone rang. Sorry. Getting into events early, I've learned that the people with money get in early and they stay late. So every event I go to, I typically get in, if I can, the day before, and I literally just hang around because I usually bump into the people who got money and there's no one there with them, and then I'm all about staying late and just hanging out and seeing what happens. And I've met so many people in my career by showing up early and staying late and just listening. And then it's led to conversations and relationships. And then with time, I find a way to give back and contribute, and add value to someone else's world. And if your strategy is to eventually add value, this thing will take you as far as you want to go. Yep. So
that seems to be a big part of your philosophy in life and work in general is get there early and stay late, right?
Yeah, 100%, man. 100%.
Come on. I love that.
Awesome.
And I wanted to, I got my last bit here, Tony, and if you want to close this out, but for me, I just picked up on this and I was talking about it with somebody at 8% is that, John's saying success, like they are looking for people to pour into. But guess what? If you don't seek it out, you'll never get it. And I was telling somebody, it was like, and this like a brand new guy, which I actually know them, the age, like I know them through Lunsford. I think I was telling you, Merwin, that they're with Perry and Jamie. And so we're just talking with the guy and, but they sought me out. Like they came up to me at that breakout and they were like, dude, and I said, okay, let's exchange the numbers, right? Let's try and get some drinks tomorrow. Let's connect. And it was because they sought it out. So, and I just say that to say, like, dude, you want something, you want more success, go seek out more successful people, but you got to seek them out. Otherwise they're not, they're successful for a reason, right? It's not just because they're like sitting, they got a bunch of time waiting for people to like, or they're going to seek out other people. Like go seek them out and then bring that into your world. So I just wanted to say that. Man, amazing episode. I love this. We could keep going. Tony, close us out, man. Take us home, baby.
Seek and you shall find. That was well said, man. Thank you guys all for coming. When I think about these events in regards to from the networking perspective, and I really think about the power of relationships, it's not so much the one-to-one, right? Oh, I met this person. It's who does that person introduce you to, right? Multiple people probably, right? Usually every time you meet one person, they're going to have a few people that they introduce you to. And then those people introduce you to some more people and it kind of strings together, right? Like I think about when I met Cody, and especially when we all got to the power players, right? The very first power players that we ever went to, the OG one. I met you, right? You introduced me to Wetmore and some of these other people, right? Cody introduces me to guys like Justin Brock. Next thing you know, I'm emceeing Medicare Con with him. I do that, and then that gets me introduced to some other people, and now I'm speaking or emceeing at their event. And that trickle effect or that multiplication effect just continues to happen. So don't just think of like, well,
literally how this show started.
Right. So how this show, exactly. All of those things have been just a kind of a trickle down effect, if you will, of the power of networking and the power of these relationships, because they multiply as that kind of branches out, if that makes sense. So that's kind of my take on it. But with that said, this has been a phenomenal show. Thank all of you guys for coming out. I want to respect y'all's time. I know you guys are busy pros. We are too. Look forward to seeing everybody next Wednesday. This is definitely
come on,
powerhouse.
Jessi. Come on, hey, yeah, everybody give him a flex. Let's go. Come on, except for Wetmore. We don't want.
Wow,
you put me to shame now.
Guns coming out. Damn. All right. So listen, man. Thanks everybody for tuning in. We are here every Wednesday, 9 a.m. Central, live from Austin, Texas. We love you guys, and we'll see y'all next week for Winning on Wednesday.
It's Wednesday, baby. The week ain't over. Get out there. Let's get it.
Peace.
Come on. Love you guys. Later.